Welcome to the Rulebook Tavern Chronicles, where we are talking about role-playing games. Today, we will deep dive into the world of fighters in Pathfinder 2e. You want to build a fighter.
Awesome.
We've got excerpts from the core rulebooks to help you make it legendary.
It's a classic choice for a reason. Fighters are the quintessential masters of combat, skilled in weapons, armor, and battlefield tactics. They're the ones on the front lines, protecting their allies and taking on the toughest foes.
They're all about that in-your-face action. Okay, so for anyone listening who's thinking about playing a fighter, what are the biggest draws? What makes them stand out?
Well, first off, their durability is incredible. We're talking 8 hit points per level, plus your Constitution modifier.
Wow.
That means a fighter can take a beating and keep coming back for more. They're also incredibly versatile when it comes to combat styles. Whether you want to wield a massive two-handed weapon, be a nimble fencer with a rapier, or rain down arrows from afar, there's a fighter build for you.
So they're tough, adaptable. Sounds pretty appealing. But I imagine there are some trade-offs. What are some of the challenges of playing a fighter?
That's right, no class is perfect. One thing to consider is that fighters are very reliant on feats to define their style and unlock their full potential.
Okay.
Unlike spellcasters, who have a range of inherent abilities, fighters need to carefully choose feats to specialize in certain combat maneuvers or tactics. This can be a double-edged sword.
I see, yeah.
It allows for incredible customization, but it also means you need to plan your build carefully.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You need to have a clear vision for what kind of fighter you want to create. It's not just about picking up a sword and swinging it. There's a lot of strategy involved.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another potential challenge, gear dependence.
Okay?
While all adventurers benefit from good equipment, fighters are particularly reliant on having quality weapons and armor to maximize their effectiveness.
So gear and feats are key. Got it. All right, let's say you're all in on the fighter path. Where do we even begin with creating one?
Ancestry is a great place to start. It's not just about flavor. It has a significant impact on your fighter's stats and abilities. Assuming we're working with the options in the core rulebooks, there are some fantastic choices in Player Core 1.
What jumps out at you as a good fit for a fighter?
Well, if you want a solid foundation that can adapt to any build, humans are always a great option. Their bonus feat at first level can give them an early edge in specializing their combat style. But if you're looking for something more unique, Nephilim offer a fascinating twist.
Nephilim? What makes them stand out?
They have this really cool feature called Versatile Heritage. It lets them choose another heritage on top of their Nephilim heritage, giving them access to additional ancestry feats. This opens up some really interesting build possibilities.
You're essentially getting double the ancestry flavor and customization.
Exactly. Now, Player Core 2 introduces even more ancestries, but let's stick with our core rulebook options for now. What are you thinking in terms of a really tough frontline fighter?
Ooh, if we're talking tough, I'm immediately drawn to dwarves. They get a bonus to Constitution, which is perfect for boosting those hit points and making them even more durable.
Excellent choice. And within the dwarf ancestry, you've got some interesting heritages to consider. For a truly formidable fighter, the Dragonblood heritage is particularly appealing.
Dragonblood dwarves. What makes them so special?
Well, as their name suggests, they tap into a bit of dragon power. This manifests as a breath weapon that develops as they level up, as well as a natural resistance to fear effects. It makes them a truly intimidating presence on the battlefield.
Okay, so we've got a solid foundation with our ancestry. But a fighter is more than just their stats, right? They need a story, a reason to adventure. And that's where backgrounds come in.
Exactly. Backgrounds add depth to your character, explaining how they became the skilled warrior they are today.
Right.
And mechanically, they provide you with additional skill proficiencies and sometimes even special abilities.
And in terms of backgrounds that fit the fighter archetype, what are some of the top contenders?
Well, the criminal background always makes for an intriguing backstory. Perhaps your fighter was a bandit, a smuggler, or even an enforcer for some shadowy organization. It gives them a certain edge, and it mechanically provides bonuses to either dexterity or charisma, which can be beneficial for a variety of fighter builds.
Ooh, I love the idea of a fighter with a bit of a shady past. But if we're going for a more classic heroic archetype, the warrior background seems like a natural fit.
Absolutely. The warrior background suggests a life dedicated to martial training and combat experience.
Yeah.
It grants bonuses to either strength or constitution, both incredibly valuable for a fighter.
All right, so we've got ancestry, background, but before we move on to the nitty-gritty of combat tactics, I have to ask, what about spells? Do fighters get to dabble in magic at all?
That's where things get interesting. Unlike some other classes, fighters don't have innate spellcasting abilities. Their power comes entirely from their martial prowess, their mastery of weapons, armor, and battlefield strategy.
So no flinging fireballs for these guys.
Not quite. But that doesn't mean they're limited. A fighter's strength lies in their incredible versatility and their ability to specialize in a particular combat style.
Right, so no spells, but plenty of other tools in their arsenal.
Okay.
So how do you actually play a fighter effectively? What are the key things to keep in mind?
Well, the first thing to understand is that a fighter's actions are incredibly valuable. Every turn, you need to be thinking strategically about how to maximize your impact on the battlefield. It's not just about swinging your sword every round.
So what kinds of decisions should a fighter be making on their turn?
It depends on the situation, of course, but here are a few key considerations. Positioning is crucial.
Okay.
You want to be in a spot where you can effectively engage enemies while minimizing the danger to yourself and your allies. Flanking is another important tactic.
Hmm.
By positioning yourself to the side or rear of an enemy, you and your allies gain an attack bonus. And of course, you need to choose your actions wisely. Do you attack, move, use a special ability? Each decision has consequences.
Sounds like there's a lot more depth to playing a fighter than just hitting things really hard.
Absolutely. A skilled fighter is a master strategist, constantly analyzing the battlefield, adapting to changing circumstances, and making split-second decisions that can turn the tide of combat.
This is all fascinating. It seems like there's so much to unpack when it comes to fighter tactics and build choices.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
Well, next, we'll delve into the heart of a fighter's power, their feats. These special abilities are what truly define a fighter's combat style and allow them to specialize in specific tactics and maneuvers.
I'm ready to dive into those feats.
Welcome back to the Rulebook Tavern Chronicles. Last time we laid the groundwork for building a fighter in Pathfinder 2E. Now it's time to get to the good stuff feats.
I'm ready to dive into the mechanics that make fighters such powerhouses on the battlefield. We're talking about those special abilities that let them customize their combat style and become truly formidable warriors, right?
Exactly. Feats are the heart of a fighter's build. They allow you to specialize in specific tactics, enhance your strength, and overcome your weaknesses. And with so many feats to choose from, there's a build for every playstyle imaginable.
All right, let's break it down. What are some of the standout feats that you think every fighter should consider, regardless of their chosen combat style?
Well, for pure offensive power, you can't go wrong with power attack.
Oh yeah, power attack classic.
It lets you sacrifice a bit of accuracy for a significant boost to damage. It's a classic risk-reward feat that can turn even a glancing blow into a devastating strike.
So for those moments when you really need to make your attacks count, power attack is the way to go. But what about defense? We talked about how tough fighters can be, but I imagine there are feats that can make them even more resilient.
Absolutely. Armor specialization is a must-have for any fighter who wants to maximize their survivability. It grants a bonus to your armor class, making you harder to hit in combat. And if you're wielding a shield, shield block is another excellent choice. It gives you a chance to negate damage altogether, essentially turning your shield into an impenetrable barrier.
So with those defensive feats, you're not just tough, you're practically a fortress. But fighters aren't just about defense and offense. They need to be able to control the battlefield, disrupt enemy formations, and create opportunities for their allies. What feats can help with that?
One of my favorites is Trip.
Trip, okay.
It lets you attempt to knock an enemy prone, giving you and your allies a significant advantage. A prone enemy has a harder time defending themselves and can't move as easily, making them an easier target.
Ooh, that sounds incredibly useful for setting up flanking maneuvers and giving your team the upper hand in combat. But I imagine there are feats that can enhance those tactical skills even further.
You're absolutely right. Combat reflexes is a fantastic feat for any fighter who wants to be more reactive on the battlefield.
Yeah, combat reflex.
It grants you additional reactions, which means you can respond to enemy movements and actions more effectively.
So more reactions equal more opportunities to interrupt enemy attacks, protect your allies, or even launch counterattacks. That sounds incredibly powerful. But what about those moments when you need to act quickly and decisively? Are there feats that can boost a fighter's speed and efficiency?
Absolutely. Seize the Moment is a fantastic feat that lets you take an extra action on your turn. This can be used for anything from making an additional attack to moving to a more advantageous position. And when combined with feats like Press or Follow-Up, it can lead to some truly devastating combos.
Okay, so we've got feats for boosting offense, defense, battlefield control, and even action economy. That's an incredible amount of versatility, but I imagine it can be a bit overwhelming to choose the right feats for your build. Do you have any tips for navigating the sea of options?
One approach is to think about the archetypal fighter you want to create. Do you envision a powerful, two-handed weapon master, a nimble, dual-wielding duelist, a precise archer, or perhaps a more specialized shield-bearing defender?
Lots of options.
Once you have a clear vision for your fighter's role in the party, you can start selecting feats that synergize with that archetype.
So it's about having a concept in mind and then choosing feats that complement that concept, building upon your fighter's strengths and minimizing their weaknesses.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment. There's no one right way to build a fighter. The beauty of this class lies in its adaptability and the sheer number of options available. You can mix and match feats to create a truly unique warrior that fits your playstyle perfectly.
All right, let's talk about some of these archetypes. What are some of the classic fighter builds that you've seen players create?
Well, one popular archetype is the two-handed weapon master. These fighters wield massive weapons, like great swords and great axes, capable of delivering crushing blows to their enemies. Feats like brutal shove and power attack are perfect for this build, allowing you to knock enemies back, create openings for your allies, and maximize your damage output.
Ooh, I can picture now, cleaving through enemies with a mighty swing of a great axe. But what about players who prefer a more agile approach?
Then you might be drawn to the dual-wielding duelist. These fighters utilize two weapons, often a combination of a rapier and a dagger, striking with lightning speed and precision. Feats like dual-handed assault and double slice are essential for this build, allowing you to unleash a flurry of attacks on your opponents.
So two-handed for brute force, dual-wielding for speed and agility. What other fighter archetypes are out there?
Well, we can't forget about the archer. These fighters are masters of ranged combat, raining down arrows from afar with deadly accuracy. Feats like point-blank shot, rapid shot, and deadly aim are all excellent choices for an archer, increasing their accuracy, rate of fire, and damage potential.
So we've got three distinct archetypes: the two-handed weapon master, the dual-wielding duelist, and the archer, each with its own unique strength and tactical advantages. But are players limited to just these archetypes?
Not at all. These are just a few examples to get you started. The beauty of the fighter class is that you can blend these archetypes, creating a hybrid style that suits your individual playstyle.
So you could have a two-handed weapon master who's also skilled with a bow, or a dual-wielding duelist who can use a shield for added defense. The possibilities are endless.
Exactly. It's all about finding the right combination of feats and tactics to create a fighter that truly reflects your vision and your preferred approach to combat.
All right, so we've covered feats and fighting styles, but there's one more crucial aspect of playing a fighter effectively that I want to touch on: positioning. Where you stand on the battlefield can make all the difference between victory and defeat, right?
Absolutely. A skilled fighter understands the importance of positioning, using cover to their advantage, flanking enemies to gain an attack bonus, and knowing when to charge in and when to hold back.
And are there specific feats that can enhance these tactical skills?
You bet. One feat that comes to mind is Terrain Master.
Terrain Master, interesting.
This allows you to ignore difficult terrain, essentially turning the battlefield into your playground. You can move freely through obstacles, outmaneuver your opponents, and always be in the right position to strike.
So with Terrain Master, you're not just fighting on the battlefield, you're mastering it, using the environment to your advantage. What other feats can help a fighter control the flow of combat?
Well, if you're looking to disrupt enemy formations and create chaos, look no further than the barreling charge feat.
Barreling charge, love it.
This allows you to charge through multiple enemies, potentially knocking them prone and creating openings for your allies. It's a fantastic feat for a fighter who wants to be in the thick of the action, disrupting enemy lines and sowing discord among their ranks.
So barreling charge is all about aggression, disruption, and turning the tide of battle in your favor. It sounds incredibly dynamic and exciting.
It is, and when combined with other tactical feats like combat reflexes and seize the moment, you can create a truly formidable fighter who can react quickly, control the battlefield, and unleash devastating attacks.
This has been an incredible deep dive into the world of fighter feats and combat styles. It's clear that fighters have an amazing amount of versatility and potential for customization. But how do we bring all this together to create a truly legendary warrior?
Well, in our final installment, we'll walk you through the process of creating a sample fighter build step by step. We'll choose a specific ancestry, background, and set of feats, demonstrating how all these elements come together to create a cohesive and effective character.
I can't wait to see this sample build come to life. It's going to be the culmination of everything we've discussed, a shining example of the power and versatility of the fighter class. Welcome back to the Rulebook Tavern Chronicles. We've spent the last two parts of this deep dive exploring the fighter class in Pathfinder 2e. We've talked about their incredible durability, their versatility in combat, and the sheer number of options they have when it comes to feats and fighting styles. Now it's time to put all that knowledge into practice and create a sample fighter build, a warrior forged in the fires of our combined expertise.
I'm excited to see this build come to life. Let's take everything we've learned and craft a champion ready to face any challenge.
Okay, first things first. We need a name for our legendary fighter. Any suggestions?
How about Ayla? It has a strong yet elegant sound to it, fitting for a warrior who combines grace and power.
Ayla it is.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of hero will Ayla be? What story will their legend tell?
Let's envision Ayla as a human champion, hailing from a long line of warriors. She's dedicated to honing her skills, mastering the art of combat, and protecting those who are weaker than herself.
I love it, a classic hero with a noble heart. So Ayla is human, which means she gets that bonus feat at first level, right? It'll give us even more options to customize her build.
Exactly. And to emphasize Ayla's versatility, let's choose the skilled heritage for her. This will grant her an additional trained skill and allow her to excel in a variety of situations, both in and out of combat.
Skilled human, check. Now, how did Ayla become the warrior she is today? What background shaped her path?
Well, given her lineage of warriors and her dedication to mastering combat, I think the warrior background is a perfect fit. It reflects years of rigorous training and suggests that Ayla is a seasoned veteran even at a young age.
Warrior it is. Now for the really exciting part, choosing Ayla's feats. This is where we get to define her combat style and make her truly unique.
Let's start by laying a solid foundation. For a warrior like Ayla, who will often be on the front lines, armor specialization is a must-have. It'll boost her armor class, making her tougher to hit and more resilient in combat.
Agreed. And to further enhance her defenses, let's give her the shield block feat. It'll give her a chance to negate damage altogether, making her an even more formidable opponent.
Excellent choices. Now, while Ayla will be a skilled defender, she'll also need to be able to dish out some serious damage. Power attack is a classic choice for boosting her offensive capabilities.
I love it. Sacrifice a little accuracy for a significant boost to damage. It's a gamble that can pay off big time, especially when you're facing down a tough enemy.
Exactly. And to complement power attack, let's add the cleave feat to Ayla's arsenal. This will allow her to strike multiple enemies with a single swing, making her a true force to be reckoned with on the battlefield.
Okay, so we've got a solid foundation in defense and offense, but what about battlefield control and tactical maneuvering? What feats will give Ayla an edge in those areas?
Well, combat reflexes is a must-have for any fighter who wants to be more reactive and adaptable in combat. Those extra reactions will allow Ayla to respond to threats more quickly, intercept attacks, and protect her allies.
And to make those reactions even more effective, let's give her the reactive shield feat. This will allow her to use her shield to deflect ranged attacks, making her a true guardian on the battlefield.
Brilliant. Now, to round out Ayla's skill set and give her some additional battlefield control, let's add the trip feat to her repertoire. This will allow her to knock enemies prone, creating openings for her allies and giving her team a tactical advantage.
I'm already picturing Ayla on the battlefield, shield raised high, deflecting blows, cleaving through enemies, and tripping foes with expert precision. She's a true champion in the making.
And this is just one example. The possibilities for fighter builds are truly endless. We encourage you to experiment, explore different feat combinations, and create a fighter that embodies your own vision of a legendary warrior.
Yes. Dive into those core rulebooks, unleash your creativity, and see what amazing fighters you can create. And remember, it's not just about mechanics. It's about the story you tell with your character, their motivations, their fears, their triumphs.
Playing a fighter is about embodying that warrior spirit, that unwavering determination to face any challenge head-on and emerge victorious. It's about protecting the innocent, standing against the forces of darkness, and leaving a legacy of heroism for generations to come.
Hope you enjoyed this deep dive with us, and see you soon to talk about other classes.